Good afternoon. My name is Tom. Welcome to the great state of Maine. Get yourself a cup of coffee. It's coffee time down here in the swamp. I had a good question come in one of my comments not too long ago. I answered it, so I figured I would add it to this video. This video today, we're getting back to the roots of this channel, which hasn't changed a bit in the 5 years since I started it. So if you want to go back and see a lot more videos on this, we're going to be talking about fire. We're going to be talking about my fire bag, primarily, and why I carry a fire bag, all that kind of stuff. But first of all, I want to address one thing that is kind of the elephant in the room when it comes to me and my thinking. Since the invention of the internet and the people on it have hijacked a lot of these skills. And they call them bushcraft skills. They call, they just plain hijacked all of the old skills that a hunter knows anyways. And as the invention of the internet came along, they think they invented them. Well, I'm sorry to say, people, just because you put the word bushcraft in front of it doesn't mean you invented it. A lot of these skills have been around for 1,000 years or more. So there's really none of us that can say that we invented it, except for the old woodsman, or the old hunter, the old trapper. Whatever they did 1,000 years ago to make a living. They're the ones that developed these skills, from flint and steel to all of that. So kind of when you're building your videos, give credit where credit is due. And that's the old woodsman, the old timer, the people that came up hundreds of years before you and your new invention. You did not invent fire. You did not invent all of these skills just because you call them under a new name. A new name means one thing to me. A new name means you got it from somebody else because they didn't know what to call it, so they gave it something else. But enough of that. Just give credit where credit is due. And stop hijacking all of our old skills, you young people. I probably shouldn't say that, but anyways. I had a question come in the other day on what kind of ferro rod that I use. I personally, well, for one thing, I bought them years ago. I bought a half a dozen, probably, I couldn't even begin to tell you when. This is the one I use a lot. You can see that it's got plenty of wear on it. When it comes to ferro rods, the only thing that I like is 1/2 inch by either 5 inch or 6 inch. It gives you now these ones had a thread on the end of them, and I bought them from a company where they were made to thread into a handle that company built. And what I found was the thread on there was the same size as a lug nut on a tire. So I put a lug nut on the end of this thing, wrapped her up with some Woodsman special tape there, the old black tape, electrical tape, and that's what I use for my handle on these, and I like it because I can get a good grip on it. And the other reason that I like a 5 inch by 1/2 inch or a 6 inch by 1/2 inch is I can get plenty of material scraping down that ferro rod by the time I get to what I'm trying to light. And that makes a big difference. I see a lot of people trying to play with those little tiny ones. Well, for one thing, in the winter time, your hands are cold. So in the wintertime when your hands are cold, the last thing that you want to be playing with is something this small, because your hands aren't going to work like they normally do. And if you find yourself in a situation where this is your survival tool in a survival situation, you don't want a small one. You want something that's going to get the job done. That's my mentality. That's the way I think of things. And when it comes to all tools, it's that way. In reality, it really doesn't matter what you see on YouTube and what you see on a lot of these channels Because a lot of the people that you are watching, they're not actually out in this stuff. You know, and I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not picking on any one channel. But there's a big difference between working and living out in the woods on a regular basis and showing up on for a weekend trip. And that's great. If that's what you got time for, that's great. But I'm bringing this video up to bring up that, you know, there's a lot more to it than what some of these channels will put out there. So anyways, let's get into my fire bag. And I told one of my videos, I said I was going in to clean up my hatchet. Well, all cleaned up, nice and sharp. I was going to go harvest some chaga down there, but I'm going to wait. It's starting to get dark, so I want a pretty good video for you guys, so I'll wait. This right now is sharper than I like. I'm not in the camp that you have to have an axe so sharp that you can shave with it. This is my fire bag. It goes in my day bag. It is in there. It has been in there for years. Now, it's a lot bigger than what you need. But I'm one of them guys that goes out in the woods and plays with fire. So, if I see something different that I want to try and see if it'll burn, I set up and give it a test. And that's what's in this bag, is just different tools, different equipment, different ways that I can go as far as trying to see if something will burn or not burn. So I just took and dumped all of the contents out of this green wool bag that I have in my fire bag. That I call my fire bag. And we'll go through some of the stuff that's in here. It's all covered in birch bark. But everything in here has something to do with building a fire in several different methods. Now, one of the things that I definitely keep in my fire bag, and I want to bring it up for you guys, because it's very easy to get your hands onto, and you can build a fire anywhere, anytime, under any conditions, with a piece of inner tube. That's all it is. Just pieces of inner tube is what I keep in there. These are the scrap pieces that I use for when I make my scope covers. You keep a piece of this in your pocket, you'll always get a fire going. The wind blowing just a little bit on that lighter. In a real world situation, I would be protecting this thing from the wind so it would get burning. There you go. That's a piece of inner tube. That's a piece of inner tube burning. You could definitely get a fire going with that piece of inner tube, and you see how long it's burning? I mean, you've got another 5 or 10 minutes. A little piece like that shoved up into your pocket, little piece like that shoved up into your pocket is all that's needed on a rainy day to get a fire built. So put your kindling on top of that. I will set this aside just for now. And as you can see, my bag is just filled with scraps. And that's all it is scraps. You already seen the fire rod. These right here are the wild matches for a really bad day. I think you can't blow it out or something. A couple of things I don't like about this match. One, it breaks really easy. And two, it does burn fairly fast. But it will last long enough for you to get something lit. That is You know, there's a difference between an emergency fire and building fire with some of this other stuff, just because it's a great skill to know. And that's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. You have a lighter, you have some matches, and if you are in a bad spot, you will be able to get a fire going with those two items. And then I always keep chaga. This is chaga. I was going to go harvest some today, but this right here is seasoned chaga. It is ready to go for either the ferro rod, or in here I keep a magnifying glass. And I will do a video on this right here sometime. It is so easy to get a fire built with a magnifying glass. And what's in here? What's in here is charred punkwood. To get a fire built with that, with the sun out, probably less than 2 seconds. We'll do a video on that, because there was a YouTuber that was bashing the magnifying glass. And the only reason he was bashing the magnifying glass is because he doesn't have a clue on what he was doing with it. And he's a pretty big YouTuber. So anyways, this right here is punkwood. It hasn't been turned into this yet, which is charred punkwood. I'm going to refresh that video as well. Also in here, this right here is jute twine, waxed jute twine. Same deal here. This stuff will burn. This stuff will burn like a torch. What you do is you cut about 1 inch off, get it lit. It works better if you fluff up the end. Right now you just got to get the wax going. Take your hunting knife and fluff up the end, and now you've got yourself a fire starter. Same deal. You cut off 1 inch, you just let it burn. To me, this right here is one of the best fire starters that I have in my bag for man-made. It takes less than 1 inch. You could get away with a 1/2 inch. This is jute twine. This is jute twine that I weave together like you would a girl's hair, and then I just put it into wax. Took it out, let it dry, and now it stays in my bag all the time. So the jute twine, you've got the chaga. This right here is pure sap. That's a lump of sap out of a tree. Lots you can do with that. My main thing with it is I like it for building a fire. It only takes a small piece, and it will burn. Easy to keep. You can soften it up by putting it in a can. This has been in my bag. I keep it in the bag for a while. So we'll go over more of this fire stuff through the winter. We don't have any snow right now, and we don't have any ice. This thing is still smoldering. Like I said, give it about 15 to 20 minutes. You actually just walk off and leave it. And when you come back, you go gather your sticks now and everything you want for building a fire. And when you come back, this will be ready to turn into fire. So I hope that was helpful. A little bit of rambling. But any of you guys that don't have time, well, just let your fingers do the walking. And those of you that want to stick around and learn something, well, here we go. I don't know what we'll call this series for the winter, but I am interested in doing some more fire videos. It's been about 5 years since I played with the fire videos. We did one earlier in the season where I was standing beside the six-wheeler, and we had 4, 5, 6 good fire starters within eye distance of the six-wheeler. So that's kind of what got me thinking about this stuff again. But anyways, this is a really good trick. I keep a little bag with me, and I collect this stuff as I go. It's not something I go out and hunt for. When you're out walking through the woods, scouting for deer, or just plain, like today, I just wanted to come out and spend some time. We got a storm coming in, so I just wanted to go out and spend some time and see what's out here. So you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week.